Hello everyone, my name is Amin and today I will talk to you about one of the topics that we learned in this class about crimes. And sorry for posting this presentation a little bit late. I just wanted to name this presentation Swipe of Crime, and as we go through the presentation, you will have a better idea why I call this Swipe of the Crime. And specifically, I will talk about the gang life. And how people get involved in these kind of gangster groups and organizations. So today, I broke down this presentation to four main parts. In the first one, I will just try to give you a brief information about the gangster, like the gang life, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the details and general information. The next, I will talk about the geographic aspect of the gang life. We're going to touch base a little bit on the location of these groups and environments, because there's something that all they have in common in case of the location. And after that, we're going to learn a little bit about the participation, and we will talk about how people participate and what happens that they decide to join one of these groups. And after that, the last part, I just named it Swamp. We will talk about what happens after. So introduction. Most of these gangsters and gang groups, almost in all of the major cities in the world, like in all of the countries, we can see that there are multiple gang groups present. They normally are present in the cities that have potential. This potential could be a specific group of people, money, or lack of law enforcement. So each city that shows weakness or potential in these categories would be a potential city for gangster groups to develop and work. Most of the gang groups are drug related because that's one of the fastest way they can make money, and by money we're talking about millions or billions of dollars in some bigger gangs. It could be related to other stuff as well. It's mostly drug related, but it could be selling guns or human traffic and lots more. But most of them, if not say all of them, they are related to drug business. And it's mostly in the poor neighborhoods. That's where they develop. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next two sections. And sometimes there are conflicts between two or multiple gangs in each city or region that causes a lot of problem. And basically they have one goal, and that's to expand their business and make more money. And obviously that comes in a cost. And by cost, I don't mean money wise. I'm talking about could be wasting a couple years of your life in jail, if not all of it, or it might cost you like your life. So let's talk a little bit about the geographic aspect of the gangs and the crimes related to the gangs. As you can see in this picture, this is a picture of one of the biggest cities in Lower Mainland called Surrey. And just to be clear up, don't get me wrong, because there's a stereotype that whole Surrey is like a bad place, and if you go there late night, you're gonna get mocked or something like that. That's not true. It's only a part of the Surrey that is involved with gang lifestyle, and those kind of problems. It's not the whole city. Actually, Surrey has like lots of high class neighborhoods, good neighborhoods, quiet and family friendly places. But unfortunately, the city, especially the Surrey Central, is one of the um, centers for the gangsters in Lower Mainland. So normally, like all of the crimes related to a gang group is normally centered in one place in each city around the world. So, for example, like in our city in Lower Mainland, the province of British Columbia, most of the gangs are centered in central Surrey. So that's where the most of the problem happens, and that's where the most of the news are from. Um, they're normally from the poor neighborhoods, like all those bad news that you hear from the news channels. They normally come from the poor neighborhoods. There are lots of reason behind that we will talk a little bit more in the participation part, which is the next part. Normally in those cities, there's a lack of social work and lack of education. So the younger generation, um, unfortunately, when they're growing up, they didn't have the proper education, or they were not socially involved in the workshops, and basically they didn't learn about some necessary um, learnings in their life, and that's why when they grow up, um, they have a higher potential to um, accept themselves as a criminal. Um, but we will talk about this a little bit more in the next section. And as I said, most of the times they're not just one group. There's multiple groups involved, and they all try to run their business in that region. So for participation, it normally involves younger generation. That's the basically that's the target of all those gangster groups and families. They try to get members by convincing the younger generation to join them for a better life. Some younger people in school or high school, they look at these big gangster as idols. So for example, because lots of them, for example, in movies, we all have seen, so many of us might have seen the Godfather movie or Scarface. Um, Media shows that what a perfect life those big gangsters have, and how they've accomplished like all of the goals they had in their life, but getting by selling drugs and doing criminal activities. And this just brings makes a false hope for the younger generation who were not educated properly by their parents and the society, that they can do it too. So they try to basically copy their lifestyle. They try to do whatever they did to get to that point. Um, as I mentioned in the third bullet point, it just kind of looks for them as a backdoor. Um, it just seems to be a fast way to get access to money, get access to cars, jewelries, just like what they see in the music videos of big pop stars or rap stars that have a lot of car, money, big mansions. And when they take a look at those big gangsters, they see they all have it. So they see this as a logical way to achieve all those goals. And also, lots of these gangsters, like big criminals, they promise their members that if they work properly for them, um, they will achieve everything they had. And I have a good example of this scenario that I will talk about at the end of the presentation. Um, Normally, these people, they have no support from their surrounding world. So these young people that look at the gangsters as their idols, they haven't had any good support from their family or from their friends or from the society. That's why they just kind of see themselves alone in that society, and they look at this option as their main and only option to become successful in their life. So many of them drop out from the school because they don't see any point in uh, studying for a long time, getting a degree, trying to find a job, and then start to make money, which nobody knows if it's gonna be a minimum wage, if it's gonna be a couple dollars above minimum wage, and they have no support. So a lot of them drop out from the schools, or maybe adults that work in a minimum paid job, they quit because it's not enough for their life needs. They have family to support, they have kids, or whatever the case might be. Um, and they just join these criminal organizations to achieve a better life and have a better position in the society. Um, and that's when they commit the crime, and that's where they see themselves. That's where when they put themselves into the swamp. Now the swamp itself. So once these people um, get involved in these criminal activities and criminal organizations, I use the word no bridge behind because they don't have any option anymore. Because once they do it, they have to continue, and this might have a lot of reasons. One of them might be that um, in their community, in their society, like the gang society, uh, they don't want to be a quitter. So once they know stuff, like there's no backdoor for them, they have to continue. Otherwise, their life and I don't know, their family might be in danger. Who knows? Not a criminal activity. And also, so as you can see, there's two columns. I forgot to tell you this. The left side is about the people that are poor, so they're poor gangsters and they don't have a good place in the society, and they try to just make a couple dollars more for their family or for themselves. And on the right side, these are the swamp causes for the rich criminals, so the bosses. And these two columns separate these two groups, and I'm gonna tell you why each of them see themselves in that swamp. So for the left side, as I said, they have no bridge behind. They have to continue because they are involved already. And once they step into something, so once they commit a crime, doesn't matter how big or small, they are a criminal. So they just see no point of going back. They'll be like, I've done it so far, so if I can make more money, if I can have a better life, if I can provide better life for my family or my kids, they just see this as their only option, and they just try to provide the necessity needs of their life for their family and friends. But on the right side, these successful, I would say, criminals, they don't have any backdoor because they have achieved a lot of success, a lot of respect, a lot of attention from the surrounding world that they just want to keep doing it. They cannot live without it. So once they receive all the attention from the people that work for them, when they receive all the attentions from the opposite sex, and when they see their lifestyle and compare it to other people, it's just kind of addictive for them to continue that lifestyle and have it. Unfortunately, again, lack of social works or lack of education in the early stages of the life makes it worse when they get to that point, because maybe as a kid, when they were in school or when they were a kid, they didn't have a life that a normal kid would have. They didn't have proper friends to play with, proper classes to attend. They could never afford I don't know, like a ski or snowboard because they're expensive to enjoy that winter sports. And they try to kind of distract themselves with the successful life they have, and they just don't wanna. They get used to that lifestyle when they get to that point. So this is why I call it a swamp, because once they are into it, both ways, both the successful people, successful criminals, and smaller criminals, they just have no option but to do it more and more. And if you remember, I told you that I would give you a example about one of the participation in the participation section. Uh, this person here, um, his name is Grimit the Hawk. Um, he moved to Vancouver. He moved to Canada when he was 7 years old. He's originally from East India, and um, one of his childhood days when he was 7 years old, somebody approached him in a brand new Porsche when he was in school or high school, and um, told him that promised him that he can buy one of those brand new Porsches if he works for this guy. And the guy was one of the biggest criminals, biggest drug dealers of that time himself. And he promised Gurmit that if he works full time for him, if he sells drugs for him in school, in a short period of time, he can buy one of those Porsches. And that's when Gurmit fell into the trap, I would say, and started doing this. And in a short period of time, he made a lot of money. Um, and he moved up in that society, in that gangster society, and he got to the point that all of the kids in that region, in the Surrey area, especially the kids that were from kids and families that were from East India, he was one of the biggest well-known people for them. Most of them, I would bet, that didn't know even the name of the mayor of their city, but they all knew this guy because of the power and the attention that this guy had back in the time. He made a lot of money. He experienced a lot of jail time, and unfortunately, due to one of these gang conflicts, between gang conflicts, he got shot dead in a nightclub in 2000, in early 2000. So this was a perfect example of the participation. It just explains how a young kid that was in school got attracted to the gang lifestyle, and how easy and how fast he got involved in that group. And in the end, the cost of it was his life. Or another recent um, shooting or death of one of the biggest criminal activities. I think it's known as Bacon shooting, because that's the name of the person that was involved in that shooting. I'm pretty sure if you type it up in a Google, you can see all the details. It happened in Kelowna, and again, it was just a between gang conflict that took place in Kelowna, and few people got shot. And it's not always between the gangs. If you take a look, there's like a videos on YouTube about that shooting, which sometimes normal people are all involved as well. So in that shooting was in front of the hotel in Kelowna, and it's clear, it's really sad and terrifying, because you can see in the video that there are kids and families right next to the shooting, and any minute any of those kids or women or men, innocent people, might have got shot and might have lost their life. So basically, to wrap this up, we can see that how lack of social education and how lack of basically social work and education in early stages of life can lead to bigger and terrifying tragedies in the later stages of life or adulthood. Um, Thank you for listening. You can I will link a YouTube video for both of these shootings. You can take a look. It's actually very useful, because you can see their interviews with the cops and the law enforcement that were involved, and you can find useful information. I will write my 3 questions about these criminal activities and um, the relationship between the society and the criminal activity, and I would appreciate if you guys give your thoughts um, to those questions. But anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you're having a great time. Take care and stay safe.